All of Ukraine is in a state of high alert after a barrage of drone attacks and missile strikes by Russia, making it a critical point in the ongoing war between the two countries. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has urged European nations to help down drones and missiles over Ukraine in the wake of the deadly Russian aerial bombardments across the country. He said a Russian barrage hit Ukraine today with more than 100 missiles and 100 drones, including in several western regions neighboring or near European countries. In a social media post, Zelenskyy said, "In our various regions of Ukraine, we could do much more to protect lives. If the aviation of our European neighbors work together with our F-16s and together with our air defense, if such unity has worked so well in the Middle East, it should work in Europe as well. Life has the same value everywhere," he added, in an apparent reference to the US helping Israel shoot down Iranian missiles. In fact, Zelenskyy, in his plea for help, said America, Britain, France and other partners have the power to help us stop terror. The Ukrainian president has once again urged Ukraine's allies to drop restrictions on the use of long-range weapons, which Kiev wants to use to launch strikes deeper inside Russian territory. At least 6 people have been killed across multiple regions in Ukraine today. The Russian military has confirmed that the attack targeted energy infrastructure and high-precision weapons were deployed. Blackouts have been reported in cities across Ukraine, and the state-run energy company has cut power to stabilize the national grid. In capital Kiev, residents were forced to shelter at metro stations. This as Russia launched a massive missile and drone attack aimed at energy infrastructure across Ukraine overnight into Monday. According to Zelenskyy, who has described the latest Russian offensive as one of the largest attacks in more than 2.5 years of war, has stated that the nationwide strikes used more than 100 missiles of various types and about 100 Shahid drones. Ukraine's Air Force says it detected dozens of missiles and drones targeting almost all regions of the country, from the frontline eastern regions of Kharkiv and Dnipro to the southern port city of Odessa, as well as the capital Kiev. The Ukrainian Prime Minister, Denis Shmyhal, has said Russian terrorists have once again targeted energy infrastructure, and at least 15 regions were targeted by a combination of drones, cruise missiles and hypersonic Kinzhal missiles. Ukraine's national energy company, Ukrenergo, has been forced to implement emergency power cuts to stabilize the system. Power outages have been recorded in several cities, including Kiev and Dnipro. Ukraine had been bracing for a major Russian attack for weeks in response to Kiev's shock incursion into the border region of Kursk, the first foreign invasion of Russia since World War II. Ahead of Ukraine's Independence Day on Saturday, the US Embassy in Kiev had warned of an increased risk of Russian drone and missile attacks. The overnight assault came hours after Ukraine's foreign ministry called on Belarus to withdraw what it described as a significant build-up of Belarusian forces and equipment at their shared border. Kiev also reported that former Wagner mercenaries were among the troops at the border and urged Minsk not to make tragic mistakes for their country under Moscow's pressure. Throughout the war, Russia has repeatedly targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, attempting to plunge its citizens into darkness and use freezing winter temperatures as a weapon of war. After Monday's attack, Ukraine's energy minister said the energy sector is in the crosshairs and the extent of the damage is still being investigated. Deaths have been reported in the Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, Volyn and Zymtor regions, according to Ukrainian authorities. In Kiev, the head of the city military administration has said air defenses are working in the region and the outskirts of the capital, and he has advised people to stay in shelters. In Kharkiv, emergency services are working at an undisclosed number of sites targeted in the attacks. Although Kiev's Western allies have provided Ukraine with vast amounts of military equipment, they have placed strict conditions on how these can be used. Fearing Russian escalation, Western countries have prohibited Ukraine from using the weapons it's been given to strike missile and drone launch sites deep inside Russia. That means Kiev has to rely mostly on its own air defenses to stem Moscow's attacks. But following Monday's strikes, Ukrainian officials have once again asked their allies to allow them to strike deeper into Russia. Zelenskyy said every leader, every one of our partners knows the decisive actions required to end this war justly. Ukraine cannot be constrained in its long-range capabilities when the terrorists face no such limitations. Ukraine's foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has made two requests of Kiev's allies. First, affirming Ukraine's long-range strikes on all legitimate military targets on Russian territory. Second, agreeing to use partners' air defense capabilities to shoot down missiles and drones close to their airspace. The widespread aerial assault comes 2 days after a Russian strike on a hotel in the Donetsk region killed a British safety advisor and a Reuters journalist while wounding 2 others. The latest Russian bombardment, as we mentioned, comes as Ukrainian forces occupy a pocket of Russian territory in the border region of Kursk and as Kiev carries out its own aerial attacks on targets deep inside Russia. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy has said his forces have advanced up to 3 kilometers in Kursk and taken control of 2 more settlements. Nearly 3 weeks into the Kursk incursion, Ukraine has consolidated much of the Russian land it seized rapidly in the surprise operation. An estimated 10,000 elite Ukrainian troops burst across the region on the 6th of August, taking more land in a matter of days than Russia had won in Ukraine so far this year. Despite the sense of justice and retribution the Kursk incursion has brought, it remains a risky strategy for Kiev. The rapid gains need to be considered alongside losses in the east of Ukraine, where Russia continues to make ground in a grinding battle. Russian ground forces are inching towards the key eastern Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk, which could become the next major battleground in this war. Pokrovsk is a strategic target for Moscow. President Vladimir Putin has made it clear that his goal is to seize all of the eastern Ukrainian regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. Pokrovsk sits on a key supply road that connects it with other military hubs and forms the backbone of Ukrainian defenses in the part of Donetsk that is still under Kiev's control.
It was one of the biggest combined strikes. More than 100 missiles of various types and about 100 Shahed drones. And like most previous Russian strikes, this one is just as sneaky, targeting critical civilian infrastructure in majority of our regions. In Kharkiv and Kyiv region, in Odessa region and western regions. Unfortunately, there are casualties. A lot of damage in energy sector. But everywhere where power cuts were introduced, restoration works are already underway. Our repair brigades will be working round the clock. We will make sure power is back. We should finally come to joint interception of Russian missiles and drones. There were targets in Volyn region, Lviv region, Ivano-Frankivsk region, Vinnytsia region, Khmelnytsky region, Ternopil region. In various Ukrainian regions, we could have done more in order to protect life if aviation of our European neighbors had worked together with our F-16 jets and air defense.